What's up, everybody? This is Bobby. Welcome back to Fight Junkeez. We're here on this beautiful Monday in Las Vegas, Nevada. And today I have my big bro himself, King David MMA, always coming through.
Let's go.
Welcome, brother. Welcome back. Appreciate you always coming to kick it with the boys. How you been, bro?
Oh, man, just out here looking. So first of all, so the people at home may or may not understand that we've done a couple of these together.
Yeah, like 4.
Right. I'm on a 5-fight win streak after the age of 40, all with first-round finishes, and I basically spent my entire weekend on a mission of mercy looking up former UFC veterans so I can create a hit list. That way we can alleviate me destroying these men on the regional scene. They have families, and I have told Dana White to stop the bleeding, but I may take matters into my own hands and start butchering UFC veterans for fun and profits. That's what I've been up to. How's your weekend?
Shit. That's, how do you follow that? It's like Dave Chappelle going right before you. My weekend, and why we're not going to go too much into fights, my mother, who I haven't seen in almost 9 years, is in town with my stepfather and my older brother, who I hadn't seen in a long time. Moving a lot, military, from Texas, Louisiana to California, and then just, not making the best decisions in my 20s and early 30s. I was gone a lot. So now that we're settled and we have a beautiful, beautiful home, it was time, and they came in. My mom didn't know. I picked them, my mom and stepdad, up from the airport. And then the whole ride back, they'd be like, hey, did you talk to your brother, my older brother? And I'm like, nah, we don't talk that much. But the night before, I picked him up at the airport, and he's in the guest room. So, of course, my mom comes in, and they're all excited, and she's holding the baby. And I have a video. I think you saw. I posted it. My mom lost it. My brother comes walking out, and she's holding the baby. And yeah, so it's good, man, to be around family. And I say that because there's a lot of people that went through bad times like me, addiction and homelessness and legal stuff and custody battles and all the things that come with abusing drugs. And if they're in the middle of it right now, they literally just think it's never going to end. But, in about 1 month, I'm going on 5 years clean.
Congratulations. Let's go.
And I have a beautiful home, a beautiful wife, beautiful little girl. Family's coming back around. So I just wanted to say, if you're suffering from the disease of addiction, stop giving it power. I don't go kumbaya in meetings. I don't say I'm an addict, none of that crap, because I'm not. I'm a savage beast who went to war and had a little bit of things in my brain that I had to handle, and it took me a little longer than most, but I handled that shit. And now I'm like you. I'm looking at for a hit list to get success, and that's where I'm at. That's why I like being around other high-level people, because your energy, bro, is just always top-notch, and that's what I love. I feel like I take something out of you and throw it in myself. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm pulling straight from source. You know what I mean? So I'm going straight from the universal forces and God above channeling energy through me. And so I feel like if I could be a conduit for that for others, then that's a good thing. So I'm glad that you feel like you're getting a good vibe from me. And I feel like that addiction, if it's like drugs, is bad, obviously. But, if you can get addicted to something positive, then you could just kind of almost replace that type of energy, that function in your brain. I want it more, whereas I would say I'm pretty addicted to martial arts at this point.
I'd say.
Right, yeah. And so, one of my buddies, he started training, and he's like, dude, I'm hooked. And I'm like, so you see why I'm at the gym all the time now. It's literally you can always do more.
It is your addiction.
Right, yeah. So, somebody might be addicted to a substance, and then someone else might be addicted to something a little more positive. And I feel like in a lot of situations, people are, instructing, oh, don't do this, don't do that. It's like, dude, just replace it with something good, man. You know what I mean? I'm not an expert, but sometimes those kind of addictive tendencies can be a positive thing when focused in the right direction.
I want to segue from talking about substance abuse and stuff, and there's a legend in his own making in the biggest draw in UFC history, who I think maybe goes out and parties too hard and gets himself into some trouble. Did you read those headlines at all?
Yeah, I read some of the headlines. I did not, so my buddy Jesse on Fire has done 3 or 4 videos back to back to back on those. And he was like, oh, did you see my video? And I was like, brother, I was like, I love your stuff, but if it's on some negative energy, I'm not tapping on it.
Same. I come for like toward this more like he's a victim. In this country, unfortunately, with media and everything, you are guilty till proven innocent, and that's bullshit. Looked at some stuff. I just think when you're at that level, everybody wants to clout chase. They want to catch a bag, and it's unfortunate, but we'll never know how it is.
And to be clear, we're both speaking about Conor McGregor and the recent allegations on him, correct?
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's bullshit that somebody at that level, I'm not saying that, I don't know if what agreement he has with his fiance. It's not my business. He's a grown-ass man, almost a billionaire. But it feels like, the allegations and certain things that these high-level people, I don't know, man. It feels like people are just trying to rip people down and get a paycheck, and that pisses me off. So I'm a huge fan of Conor McGregor. Always have been a Conor McGregor dick rider.
Well, the thing that is kind of interesting, just in my limited experience of being like a normal person walking through Whole Foods and then like fighting and then the crowd going crazy, and then you're like a mini celebrity for that weekend in that area. If you extrapolate that out to being like a worldwide celebrity, your access to everything is unlimited, and you have people with just good intentions, bad intentions, and everything in between that all want something from you. Right?
Well, you have a family member who you got to see deal with that type of, I'm not saying anything like those out, but just being a celebrity and like having to navigate the world, right?
My uncle had a sex tape, you know what I mean? And that was put out by, at the time, someone who was his quote unquote best friend, who had offered his wife apparently to my uncle after my uncle had gotten a divorce, and then recorded it and then put the sex tape out without my uncle's knowledge. It was like some crazy ass story like that. And I'm like, dude, like he went into like not the bedroom or whatever, but I mean in the situation in general, like just like, oh, this is my dear friend and they do open stuff and he's trying to help me get over this divorce. And then it turned out like, oh, it was a publicity stunt by the other dude to try and gain clout. And, it's a wild world out there. And I believe that Conor is probably just a party animal in general. I feel like his success may be almost a way of enforcing his decision making. Like, I did all this, I can do anything, so let me do X, Y, and Z in addition to that at a party or whatever.
I'll ask you this though, and Austin, thanks for engineering. Let me ask you guys this: when did Conor McGregor become the Floyd Mayweather of MMA? When did people start preying on his downfall instead of being solely excited for his success? I feel like he's always played the heel, but he was loved.
Right.
And now I feel like people are genuinely looking at him with a little bit of like they want him to fail. And that bothers me. That pisses me off a little bit because they're the first ones when he wins. They're going to be like, yeah, Conor, because they're.
Well, he got pretty dark around the Khabib fight.
Yeah.
Like the lead up to that, the bus.
Right, yeah, I'm a huge Conor McGregor fan in terms of like watching his martial arts, and I've said it before that I believe that his performance against Eddie Alvarez was almost like perfection in martial arts at that time of the development of martial arts. But some of the stuff he was saying before the Khabib thing was like in a really dark place, and then he also allegedly, I don't know if they ever worked it out or not, I think he hit like an old dude at the
pub,
right, yeah, and I'm not saying old dudes should be running around running their mouth, but sometimes maybe don't hit like
at that level, like you're a pro fighter. You would hold me down and just smack me and say, Bobby, what are you doing, before you beat the dog shit out of me, because I'm not a threat to you. Like now imagine an old man
going off an 8-ball and half a bottle of proper 12 either. You know what I mean? So I haven't been up for 3 days.
Big difference.
So sometimes that's the other counter argument, right? Is people go like, he wouldn't do that, he's rich and famous. It's like, bro, he's got all kinds of substances in his system. You know what I mean? No telling what he might do. He might jump off a building just because he thinks he can fly, right? Like, and I have friends that fight and they do extracurricular activities, and sometimes, just from a competition standpoint, when you limit them too much, like these are like wild people, right? So I was cornering an athlete, and this person parties, and up the week of the fight, everyone else was trying to like curtail them, and I like, don't do it at all, you can't. And I'm like, hey, listen, drink half a tall can, smoke half a joint. Where we're at, they don't test for weed, and
you've got to be yourself.
Right. That and that person performed excellently because they weren't so restricted. They didn't feel trapped. And I'm not saying that, you should encourage, alcohol or anything like that, but it is legal, and the person performed better being a little bit more free. And I think that Conor is getting a lot of criticism. He's gone a downward spiral. He's this dude. Listen, I'm not saying the Chandler fight's still on, but he might just go smoke Chandler, and then everybody's like, oh, he's the greatest. And it's like, dude, he's got such a skill level and a technical understanding that he can get away with a lot of things that most people can't. So, I think that in determining whether you have a quote-unquote problem or not would basically be like an individual case-by-case basis. And I would almost say that Conor has the opposite of a problem, where he's so talented and so gifted that he can get away with a lot of things that,
a lot of people, like John Jones, he would just party and then get in there and, starch everybody.
Right. And so John's issue seems to be that he can be on whatever and go fight, but, he can't be on whatever and go to a nightclub, because then he's got a problem. So you just got to keep that guy away from the nightclub and get him an Uber driver.
Yeah. So I want to dive into, because I care about you, you're a friend of mine, like we hit it off. What do we got to do? Contender Series is coming up. We got Mr. Orlando, who verbally binding said he would talk to Dana for you, right, John?
That's funny.
He's gonna punch you in the face later. But like in all actuality, how does it? What do you know the pro? Like you just send your manager to go talk to them again? How does that? Like what is in your brain right now? Because Contender starts August 6th. They got to be getting people right now.
Well, I recently accepted a short notice fight in Canada against an opponent, and this was for a Dana White looking for a fight. They said that the promotion said that they want the matchup. They just don't want to do it on Dana White looking for a fight, which was the whole point of me going to Canada, right? I'm not like looking to go scrap up there. I'm like, dude, I like this fight because Dana's in the crowd, right? Like, I'm not looking to go fight where, I don't know what city it is, or in Ottawa or something. You know what I mean? Like, that's not on my radar. They're like, oh, well, we love this matchup. This will be an exciting fight. We'll put it on the next card. And I'm just like, I appreciate it, but, next.
That's bullshit.
Right. And then I accepted a fight in Fusion Fight League. That card got postponed. Another Fusion Fight League card came up. An opponent that was already there was already a match. One of them dropped out. Hey, we've got a guy. He's 6-6. His opponent dropped out. It's in 2 days. Do you want it? Yes. Like, I didn't even look at the dude. You know what I mean? I just said, yeah. I said, bro, forge my signature and I will show up on weight.
Yeah.
And then,
but
that's not the matchup that guy wanted, So, I'm not saying that, everybody's ducking me. No, it's just like, but like, this is just the process. So behind the scenes, sometimes people, they kind of don't understand that there's like a lot of logistics that happens as well. So
what's up with and shout out to Sean Merriman for coming on the show.
I saw that. That was awesome.
He owns Lights Out.
Okay,
it's a big fight organization. I want to say it's like right around Bellator almost. Like it's on the come up. It looks really good. The production's great. I have connections with him, but you will probably know him too from the gym, right?
Well, I've seen him at the gym. Obviously I recognized him and everything like that, but a lot of times people are working out. I don't interrupt anybody or anything like that. And
I brought you up to him.
Oh, sick.
On the show, on the podcast, a couple times actually. I think we should explore that, off camera. But
who else was up here? J-Rock?
Yeah. You know J-Rock too?
I know him through a mutual friend named Rudy Silva in San Diego. So I would always see him on Rudy's stories. And I've known Rudy for like 10 or 15 years. Rudy basically runs San Diego. So like anything nightclub related, you just talk to Rudy.
Gotcha. Same as J-Rock out here. I was really drawn to J-Rock because, not just because he's got followers and a blue check and success. That was not. I never look at people in a jealous way or a I want that way. I look at it as motivation. And when I see a former Iraq combat veteran who was in the Marine Corps, especially in the beginning of the war, in the position they're in now, I know damn well that he went through shit. I know it without a doubt. You can't go through what he went through with the Marine Corps in the early part of the Iraq War and not have a lot of things come with it. So for me personally, when I see somebody that's successful, fit, disciplined, around other like-minded individuals that are also successful, and they also went through the war like I did, it just motivates the hell out of me to level my game up. Because I know these people also have demons, but they're just saying, nah, we're gonna handle this, and they put their demons aside, and that's a big feat. You know what I mean? So he's cool as hell. He's a lot bigger than I thought. Yeah, he's a big boy.
He's big. Sean Merriman's big, so
Sean Merriman's huge.
Now, so what is it like? Because I understand you're a combat veteran, but like, what's it like? Like, hey, guess what? And you're like, what's that? And they're like, you're going to war. And then you're like, what? And they're like, yeah, you get on a plane tomorrow. Okay. And then you're like, wait, what'd you say? And they're like, yeah, brother.
So they don't. That doesn't happen in the regular military like that. I think some of spec ops guys and special forces and SEALs, they'll get spun up. But that's what they know that's going to happen. For me, of course, when I joined, I knew I was going to end up in the war. That's why I joined, because of my dad being in 9/11. But it was like, I went to boot camp for 6 months. Then I went to Germany, and I was in Germany for 18 months before we went to Iraq. But we knew almost a year out. So I think we found out in like March, and we left September 22nd. So it was a long build-up and a lot of training to prep to go.
Right.
But yeah, when you're winding it down and you're hugging your family and you're getting on that bus with all your gear, and you're about to do a 15-month deployment to northern Iraq.
And we would call northern Iraq like sketchy? Like, is that like
in 2007, Tikrit, Mosul, I think Baghdad had already fell and it was a green zone. Okay. Ramadi was still hot. But yeah, it was real bad.
Oh, sure.
So, now I'm a 19, 20-year-old kid about to go to war. Yeah, it was and then...
And at that age, do you have the understanding that the severity of the situation, or is it just like, I'm invincible, I'm 19?
Invincible.
Okay. And then
with fear attached, because you see, to prep you for combat, they show you literally all of the videos in classes of soldiers dying and getting blown up. And, they make us not. I had already seen hundreds of soldiers get shot by snipers and blown up and die in Iraq, enemy get killed and all this on video, like all the time. And so when we get there, we're numb and programmed. But I don't care who you are. I don't care how tough you are. My first combat patrol was Christmas Day, 2007. We got there in September, and the mission we had to guard some general fell through, so we didn't. Whatever the case was, the leadership probably knew. I was just a private. Christmas Day was our first patrol. And I don't care how tough you are, how badass you think you are. When you leave that wire and you're going through a city that is packed, and you see blast holes and it's a feeling I'll never be able to describe. And that's why so many of us chase that feeling again. Like, a lot of these guys become snowboarders or jiu-jitsu guys or fighters, and because that adrenaline just cannot be recreated. And that's why I say I know how it is to get into the octagon, because I went on almost 400 combat patrols where I set up and went out at the wire over 15 months. And every time you leave that wire,
and the wire,
it's like getting in the cave. So leaving the wire is the base. So you're on a big installation, which is probably no shit over there. Some of them are size of Vegas.
Okay.
The base.
You would say it's fairly safe on base before you leave the wire. And then when you leave
there's
the wire,
mortars.
now you're just in...
Yeah.
Right.
You come
a free-for-all.
You go out to the main supply route, which is like a highway. It's like you get on 95, but imagine just desert. Okay. It's like driving out of Vegas for a little while, and then all of a sudden you see Vegas. That's how it is coming. Our base is in the middle of nowhere, and it's like you all of a sudden here's Vegas, but that's the city of Tikrit, and now you're in the city, and it's just everywhere. You just never know. Soda cans, snipers, car bombs, suicide bombers, small arms fire, rocket. It's just so you're on edge all the time. So that's why I love being around fighters, because I understand what it's like to get in that octagon. Because when you go into that fight mode and you really have the full belief and acceptance, I might die today. I might get knocked out or whatever.
Right.
We process the same shit. Every single day when I left the wire, I had to accept that I might die. And it wasn't easy, but I accepted it, and I just went out there and did my job.
And do you feel that having gone through that experience, having done your job, having accepted the possibility of death or,
Yeah.
does that add to you being more of a risk taker now that you're out, or?
In the beginning.
Okay.
Yeah. Now I'm older, but yeah, I was reckless. I had a street bike. I had to hit that 140 almost daily to feel that thing.
Right.
Yeah, we were, and that's why a lot of guys lose who they are.
Well, even right now, some people would say that, like, hey, setting a goal of being a international famous podcaster is probably wild, right? Yeah, but like even to me, that's like a little bit like, you know what? I've faced a lot in life. This isn't necessarily a risk. This is like a toned down.
It's a reward for me.
Yeah, like you're like, dude, I've risked it all. Like, so.
Yeah, and you know what I want to do, and I want to kind of say something. I know we got to get out of here so that I can kind of clip out. This is not just your regular fight podcast.
Okay.
And I don't say that because I want to get clicks and follows and clout. I'm not a journalist. I never went to college for journalism. No, nothing against these guys. I am a former Iraq combat vet who loves fighting because I relate to it, because I know what it's like to be in fear for your life and still go out and do your goddamn job. I am a super fan of this sport. So as much as we talk about only fighting in this podcast, I want people to get behind me as well and know that I'm a regular dude who's been through all kinds of shit, and just to be sitting here is a blessing to me. Literally, I shouldn't even be here. I should be dead or in a cell somewhere. But I changed my goddamn life around, and it's a blessing. So nothing against the other guys, but that they're just kind of dork. They want to go out there with their microphone. Hey, I'm doing it out of really this is a blessing to me.
Well, that's one of the things I like about you most is sometimes you talk to these dorks, right? And they don't have any perspective on life. And they're talking to you like they're questioning you, and you're looking at them like, brother, you're wearing khaki pants and a pocket protector. Don't ever speak to me in that. Like, go do something, go put something on the line, because you're sitting behind a pen and paper, or you're sitting behind a microphone in your little comfort zone, right? And you're judging people who are outside of their comfort zone. And I believe that, someone who has never been to war shouldn't tell you how to go to war. Someone who's never been in an octagon should never tell me how to be in an octagon.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people out there with a lot of opinions that are not based on fact or life history that really need to get things put in perspective in terms of their life and get off the couch and, go learn what it is for real.
There's too many people, and I've been saying it, there's too many people that want to talk about resilience and want to talk about the comeback. What did you go through? What did you really go through?
Right.
Nothing. You read some fucking books, and then you learned how to speak a little bit, and now you're out here shooting the shit with people, acting like you're some guru who knows about life.
Well,
they've had an easy life, bro.
Right. They missed the context, right? So let's say Jocko, right, who's a stud, says something like discipline equals freedom. You know what I mean? Or he says good, right? Like, and then someone else regurgitates discipline equals freedom. And then they're wondering why they're not getting the response that Jocko gets. It's like, dude, go be a Navy SEAL commander and then come out and then have a best-selling book on the New York Times bestseller list and then own a multi-million-dollar company consulting for the top CEOs in the country and then do all that and be a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt and corner UFC fighters and own the top gym in San Diego like for a decade and a half, right? Go do that. And then when he says discipline equals freedom, there's a context to it. And everybody's regurgitating the words without replicating the context that got the person there.
Yeah, because people just want the reward. They don't want to work for it anymore. They just want to be known. They want to be famous and have clout and all this bullshit. But what have you done, dog? You've done nothing. You can't give, you're not going to give me advice because you have a degree and read some books. Bro, I've been through addiction, homelessness, jail, combat. Grew up, my parents were divorced. I'm on my third marriage. I have completely fucked my life up over the last 30-something years. So now that I've bettered it over the last 5, you can't beat me. I'm unstoppable. I am the encyclopedia of life myself. I don't need a fucking book.
You've got the ability to say, here's what doesn't work. I've tried that. Here's what did work. This is better. And then you have a context to explain to people like the difference. Whereas somebody who hasn't done either, they should go live.
And you can tell when they're saying it, when they're saying, you got to be resilient. You got to go do this. Like, oh, if you get anxiety, start counting the colors in the room. Shut the fuck up. Bro. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I mean,
guys, I'm sorry we went down a rabbit hole today, but there wasn't a lot going on. Shout out to Marvin Vettori's chin. Marvin Vettori's chin is a bad motherfucker. Cannonier, but I think we had a hard out at 10:30. So once again, King David MMA is in the house. Is there anything you want to shout out, your sponsors, or whatever, so you can?
I'm a psycho, man. I have a major company trying to sponsor me right now, but I don't like the fact that they have artificial sweeteners in their drinks. So, I say no to almost everything.
Fuck artificial sweeteners.
Let's go.
Let's go. I appreciate you coming by. Like I said, Mondays, it's just me. So anytime, obviously today it got pushed a little bit, but normally we'll do a full hour. And we'll come with more of, agendas and stuff. But my family, it literally, no excuse, but it's an excuse, man. I lost a lot of time with my loved ones because of the life that I chose to live in the past. And I'm just happy to have them around. It's been 9 years. And we're getting older. My mom's getting older.
Well, and your mom with your baby and your brother, that's a blessing.
Beautiful.
You know what I mean? And you'll have that memory forever. So
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so shout out to everybody suffering today. And I want to give a special happy Father's Day once again to all the dads out there who didn't get to talk to their kids yesterday, who were kept from their children and had to cry alone in a room because all they want to do is be a good dad. Well, I'll say this, you are a good fucking dad. So be strong, keep being the example, and when those kids come back around, like I said yesterday, and they see the amazing, tremendous man, a real man standing in front of him or her, they'll be proud to call you dad. Fight Junkies. Let's go.
Happy Father's Day.